Hey guys, back for another episode of EOS Tokenomics and DACs. We're up to for the fourth episode here in 2019. I just wanted to keep consistent and keep this going. Unfortunately, this is kind of last minute, so we don't have any guests so far, but I'm hoping people will drop in and maybe some guests will drop in today. So, I think we have one audience member here. I think is that Mel? And hey, Mel, how's it going? And I think I see Jaren as well, right? So great. So maybe I'm gonna keep it up to you guys. We'll keep this episode short, and I just want to answer any questions you have on tokenomics and DACs, and just. I want to know what you guys have questions on, or and hopefully I can kind of open up the discussion for anybody out there. And so, Mel, do you have a question about tokenomics, DACs? I know you mentioned you were thinking of doing. You're in the software development business, and so I think that's great. I think more and more businesses and startups will start to use this DAC model. Now we're probably a little bit early. It's sometimes you have to kind of find the right situation to use a DAC, but I think that's going to be the trend. So, but anyways, do you have any questions, Mel? Okay, you have a few DApp ideas. Feel free to share it. I can kind of maybe comment on it, see if there's a, how to think about it. We can have a discussion on that. So yeah, feel free if you want to kind of keep it a little bit stealth right now. I think that's fine. So any questions about DACs and tokenomics? Anything interesting you guys see out there? Kind of looking to you guys as well, because really the main, I guess, project that is in the forefront of DACs is EOS DAC. So I've continued to follow them, just checked out their Discord channel just to see what was going on. So so feel free to do that. That's let me see, the DAC channel. It's I mean, if you go to the main EOS DAC site, it'll link you to the Discord. Let me see. But other than that, I haven't followed up. I should probably take a look at Aragon. We had a video last week of Aragon, so it'd be good to look at them as well. They're on the Ethereum platform, so it's kind of an interesting project. And if you look at their website, maybe I'll just share the screen. They kind of maybe we can just also look at EOS all the way. Yeah, but we can learn from other projects as well, right? So and maybe even collaborate with Aragon. That's one of the things I was thinking about. Maybe it's nice, to start fresh and just kind of build from scratch, and so you're not maybe influenced too much by the outside. So that's one way to do it. But then after a certain point, it's also good to look at other platforms and see, where there could be collaboration. So that's why I also think about Aragon as a nice nice project to kind of keep tabs on. And I haven't really looked at it deeply, so maybe I can just review their website to see kind of how they're similar to anything we've seen before, or how different they are. So maybe I'll just do that real quick while I do that, if no one minds. I'm gonna go to the Aragon website. Just share that real quick. So this is their website. Let me see. So this is, they have kind of a voting, a token manager, finance, permissions, apps here. They also call themselves the world's first digital jurisdiction. And discover, I'll go discover. So there's a voting mechanism that allows you to post proposals. It says, which charity should we donate to? And then you begin the vote. You can try it out. I don't know if I can try it out here. Mainnet, Aragon. Ethereum. Let's go Ethereum testnet. You can actually put in an ID here, like a domain name. So let's just call it test DAC. Let me close this for now, and let me see if I could get into MetaMask here. Let's see if I can log in here. Let me share again here. You haven't used MetaMask since mainnet launch. Yeah, so I don't. I mean, I use it occasionally, but yeah, I haven't really used it a whole lot. So let me go share this one. Okay, so it says, welcome to Aragon. Choose your organization, and I've done that. Test DAC. I'm on MetaMask. Oh, I gotta go to MetaMask, go to RinkB, and you need at least 1 ETH. So let me see if I have an account here. Do I have anything in here? I thought I had some ETH. Sorry. I don't know where my ETH is. I thought I had some in this account. Oh, I need it on RinkB. Sorry. So anyways, I don't have any test ETH on Ethereum. So let me see if how do I get? Let me figure this out. Let me figure out. Okay, RinkB, the testnet clone faucet. So I'm going to the RinkB faucet. Give me Ether. Okay, so let me. Sorry about this, guys. I was trying to test out the Aragon, and I'm gonna see if I could get Ether. So I'm going to a faucet, and then I'm gonna see if they could give me Ether. So let me see. Crypto faucet. Anyways, sorry about that, guys. So, hey, Justin, I'll bring you in here. Sorry about that. So let's get Justin in here to, so it's not working. So let me go. Let me see if I could just go to the mainnet. And
hey, Jun, how you doing?
Good. So feel free to. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out how to mess around with it. I wanted to use the testnet, but now I'm thinking maybe I'll just just try the mainnet. I think I have a little Ethereum. So let me go to the mainnet, and then I think I have a little Ethereum in one of my other accounts here. So so let me see. Let me go to this account.
First day on the official job.
So okay, so it says I need at least. So let's try something. Just a test DAC, I guess. Wait, EOS Ignite. I'll do EOS Ignite.
Yeah, there's probably a couple things. The checklist is pretty good.
EOS Ignite. Okay. Mainnet uses real fun.
Yeah.
Oh, you're calling.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, anyways, it's just browse this demo.
Checking in.
So I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I got his number. And, yeah, I think my.
All right. Can you guys see? Let me.
Just get onboarded as thoroughly as possible, and then actually probably start using more like
Assign tokens.
website.
Okay. Assign tokens. Assign tokens.
I don't know like how you guys.
Must be a valid.
Yeah, I mean, I just observed the different personalities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Assign tokens. You can vote. New vote. Do I want? What is it? What's a voting question? Oh, what happened there? It kind of has all these past votes here. Okay, they just load it up. Mint 1 token for ETH or BTC. Okay. Should we create a DAO? Should we create a DAO? You can directly perform this create transaction. MetaMask. I can confirm it. Okay, so it asked me to confirm it. So you can create a transaction. You can confirm. What do you guys see? You guys see my MetaMask pop up? No? Okay.
No,
so when I do
that,
my MetaMask pops up and it says, do I want to do anything, or do I want to confirm the transaction? So once I confirm.
Oh, wait, is that on the right MetaMask?
Yeah. It's,
oh, okay.
So I mean, I could confirm, but I just didn't want to use it. Just I guess I could. It's probably not a whole lot, but I don't know if this is just a demo, I think. Okay, I'll do it.
Do it.
Okay, transaction signed. Okay.
What do you need all this Ethereum for anyway? It's rubbish.
No, I'm just looking. It's just another DAO kind of project. So I just want to see. So did it work though? I created a question. I said, should we create a DAO? It asked, and then you confirm finances. Let's check out finances. Token balances, transfers. It's just like a treasury. Permissions. Create new votes. Create permissions. This is probably a create new votes, permissions, modify quorum 50%. Revoke permissions. Okay, so this is permissions. Apps, payroll, the planning suite, espresso, liquid democracy, settings. Okay. My transaction failed by it. Okay, so that's pretty standard. So we got the token manager, how you issue the distribution of the tokens, a total supply, so you can assign it or issue it. Voting, you could make votes on certain proposals. You have like a financing section, permissions, So this is pretty good. They got, multi-sigs and things like that, and then different apps along with it. So any other kind of interesting, any questions on this, guys?
This brings up a good question. For EOS, do we currently have a multi-sig tool that has a user interface? Because that would be a cool addition.
Yeah, multisig is what EOS DAC is working on. So they do have, they've done a lot of work on multisig in general. And I think it's a matter of getting some front-end developers to just get into their multi-sig contracts, essentially. So we're close. I think they just need some front-end developers to finish off the work. So and that's very critical, just to make it easy for everybody to do multi-sig, and before they're just using command lines to do everything. So you propose to someone and they have to go on the command line and accept it, and there's certain time limits and things like that, I think. And anyway, so it's very clunky right now. So but yeah, it's good to see Aragon, to see if how if there was anything different, or anything in addition. So their UI is pretty simple. They have a token manager, they have a voting mechanism for proposals, and they have permissions and a kind of a treasury. So those are the basics, it seems, right? For an organization. Where does the money flow? How do you vote on proposals? Tokens are always involved in it. So those are it. I think once we get those, and EOS DAC is probably, has most of that there. Probably it uses a little bit of a different structure. It uses custodians, at least for EOS DAC, but that's flexible. It's hard to get a system where you can efficiently get everyone to vote, I think, at the same time. And so there has to be some way, the custodians have to make things a little bit more efficient, I think. But eventually you want more and more people involved in the multi-sig for the entire account. So, okay. What have you seen out there for proxy voting solutions for enterprise? Proxy voting solutions for enterprise. You're maybe talking about shareholders, shareholder voting, and proxies for that. I think that's good. Yeah, I back in the day, I remember getting just flooded with mail for proxy votes, right, or just voting, and usually when you're with a company, they do the proxy voting for you, so that kind of makes things a lot more efficient, and things can be done electronically. So I think that's a good idea to somehow just even have a proxy voting application for shareholders. And so if we replicate it with a DAC, we could have that model where everything's electronic, number one, and you could proxy just like EOS. You could proxy, you could just you just assign an account to vote for you on your behalf. And so a lot of EOS actually does that. It's almost like EOS itself is a kind of, it's a DAC, and it has a proxy system that I think can be replicated for EOS DAC as well. So yes, Jaron, yeah, I think the proxies that we have on EOS is very similar. So yeah, so why do the people continue to develop on ETH?
Who knows, right?
I think for certain purposes it's okay. I mean, you may not need scalability for everything, and maybe their security model is more rigid, and that might be more robust for certain situations. So I think it's okay but any normal amount of transactions could probably make it difficult to use. So Ethereum for. So that's where EOS and all these other kind of more 3.0 type technologies are, I think, gaining more traction. So So I think that would be
I think really a lot of it just comes down to a lot of people know how to code in Solidity. Not many people are familiar with EOS.io and coding in C++ and the entire environment. But I guess we're only like 9-10 months since launch now, so we're catching up pretty quick in terms of how many developers are getting on board. The API is that's the, what's it called? Not the transit API. It's the one that EOS put together that allows you to swap from Ethereum to EOS, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the API. Okay, is it the EOS21?
Yeah, EOS21. That's right.
Okay. So, yes.
So I guess it's pretty easy to transition. It's just a factor of them having the developers on hand.
Yeah. So I have to look into that. Maybe I'll look, like, can I look at that?
Yeah, sounds good. Jaren's bringing out all the difficult questions today.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, do you want to read the question?
Okay, so Jaren says some of the verbiage in the documentation is comical. So is this the EOS21? So I mean, it says EOS21 protocol allows Ethereum tokens to be teleported to the EOS blockchain. So it's more about teleporting the actual tokens, I think. The protocol functions by destroying Ethereum tokens and subsequently creating them on the EOS blockchain. Once teleported to the destination chain, the token will no longer exist in a fungible form on the source chain. So so that's interesting. This is more about transitioning than an API that allows you to use kind of software for on Ethereum, like transition your software platform onto EOS. So maybe there needs to be some sort of way to port over Solidity smart contracts into EOS. Maybe that's a project. But Ethereum is actually starting from scratch right now. They're doing Ethereum 2.0. So I think a lot of people are still waiting for that rather than building on their just their existing Ethereum project. So I think that's the idea. They're just waiting for Ethereum 2.0, which is really a kind of being built from scratch. So they're going to use a different. They're not going to use Solidity. I think they're going to use WebAssembly. so I think the idea is that EOS is probably ahead there because WebAssembly is essentially what EOS started out with. So I think it's going to be more a matter, I think, of like Ethereum catching up to EOS with that. So that's pretty much it.
I was just going to say, I wonder if it's possible for someone to create Solidity for EOS.io. That would be interesting because then you could use EOS21 to get the tokens across, and then they could continue coding in Solidity. That might be too complicated though. That's it.
Yeah, and I think and so I mentioned that because like before about how they're going to convert to a WebAssembly. So I have a feeling all the people that are learning Solidity might not, might have to just transfer into coding in WebAssembly. And so the Solidity thing might not be a whole like it may not be an advantage for long, especially with Ethereum 2.0 using WebAssembly. Is my guess. So, I mean, it would have been nice and people have built stuff, but there's not a lot with a whole lot of traction right now, right? So, it's probably better to just start from scratch. I think, I think that's what might happen. So that's an IBC silver bullet. Maybe, are you talking about Bancor? So yeah, we talk about liquid DApps, which is an interesting thing. But this is a tokenomics and DACs. So anyways, anything else like tokenomics and DACs, anything that you've read lately? There was this other project that I saw way back. I can't remember the name, so I'll have to I don't want to search for it. So it's another DAO project. I don't know. It's probably, I'm not sure if it's an Ethereum project or an entirely new blockchain. But it's DAC or DAO something. Is it DAC chain or something like that? Maybe I'll check real quick. And Justin, you feel free to answer Jaren's question.
Hey, let's go back to the game balancing question Jaren had. He said, I'm in the process of balancing a game. What are your thoughts for nerfing and buffing characters, cards, assets once they are published to a blockchain?
Okay.
That's a really cool concept.
Oh, I missed this game. Okay. Oh, I didn't read this. Sorry.
Tell us a bit about the game. Like, what are the characters? I don't know. I'd like to get into the mindset of what kind of game it is. Is it like a Pokemon trading card games where you put like a character out there and it has certain skills and attributes?
So nerfing and buffing, I'm not familiar with those words. Nerfing.
Let me look it up.
Character, and I think this is great because yeah, if Justin's Googling it, all games are on graphics on top of mechanics. Okay. Graphics on top, so a card game. Okay. Yeah, so maybe, I don't know this, I'm not sure where the question is, but yeah, just non-fungible tokens and having assets that are created, unique assets on the blockchain is incredibly valuable. It gives scarcity to objects, digital scarcity, and I think that's powerful. And it's easier to implement. You don't have to print out these rare unique cards. You have automatic authenticity. Okay, so anyways, let's say one card becomes too strong. They have to nerf it because it throws off the balance of the game. Oh, okay. So I remember, I used to play Magic the Gathering. I don't know if any of you guys have done that, but it was a really good game. And there was always like this idea of balancing the game so that when there was a real powerful card, you'd have to restrict it somehow and say you could only have one of these or two of these, or that's one way to do it, like limit the amount of cards you could use. And then they would, there's some combination of cards that would be too powerful, and so they'd have to restrict or limit that, or create a counter to that, right? So that's more game design. So I think I wish we could help you, but how does that fly? Like the tokenomics and DAOs, can tokenomics also kind of help a game? Like there's like whatever it is, maybe like tokenomics could be somehow a factor in game design. Maybe if someone wants to pay a lot for these powers, you go ahead and let them do it, and then you generate like some revenue so that everyone's trying to buy like like these powerful cards. That's what happens anyway. So oh, we have a DAC to vote on. Okay, and then the DAC could vote on if there's an imbalance in power with some of these cards in a game. And then you could use a DAC to vote on limiting its power or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's the only, like, if you make it completely immutable, like what the ratings are for characters or swords or whatever it is, like, then if the game is broken, it's broken, right? So it's a really interesting kind of topic to bring up, actually.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'd say a DAC is probably the way to go.
yeah, it is interesting because the game creator gets the kind of they always have the inside edge, so they could create this card that they know they're creating that's gonna do something, and they'll always have an advantage, or those that know are insiders to the game creators can always get an advantage. So a DAC can minimize may shape the game design itself and minimize kind of disadvantages or just unfair advantages. So yeah, I think that could help. So
the problem comes is that, like, the majority will always gain up on the minority, and the minority might be the person who has this super rare item. Like, there's only one magic sword in the game, and one individual has that. Like, how do you stop everyone from just ganging up on that one person in terms of voting?
Yeah, that's true too. That's okay. How do you protect the minority then in that situation? So, and this is based on stake. So the argument for delegated proof of stake and always any kind of stake-based system is that they're harming the entire network and the value of their tokens by being unfair to the minority, right? And if that's the case, then they'd be incentivized to be fair, right? So does that work? Or do you think that works? Because that's really the ultimate kind of the fallback for stake systems, that they're trying to increase the value of their tokens, and so they wouldn't do anything bad. What are your thoughts on that? Like, does that work? Would you, like, if you were like, you got like 60-70%, but it's your token value is also like it's dependent, right? So like if we're always kind of against this minority group, maybe the value of our token goes down. So I think it should eventually, if when people recognize it. So, but is it effective in deterring people from doing that? So yeah, it's interesting.
Will it? I wonder, does it become like something like Formula One, where rules are enforced that slow cars down, but then the car manufacturers have to come up with a new way, a new loophole, a new way of kind of opening up the game theory and increasing their advantage? Do you keep just enforcing new rules? But then it really screws with the value of certain NFT tokens if you start enforcing all these new rules. It's one of those questions that I don't think anyone's really solved.
Yeah, I like that analogy too. Formula One kind of analogy, where everyone's trying to find the slightest edge that they can, and if they're able to do that, they'll take advantage of it. And how much can you do to prevent that in general in a blockchain system? So yeah, those are good questions. Yeah, those are pretty open questions about it. It's all an experimentation. So I say, if we just kind of start with one good model, then you kind of have to refine it over time, and I think that's what they do with Formula One as well. They'll have the kind of the counteracting force of, some sort of regulatory system to prevent, or to promote fairness. So, or you leave it up to the free market. If whatever advantages they get, just everyone's got to do the same thing, right? It's like,
Sure.
it's like, or the guys, you're gonna have a winner that consistently wins because they have like this, they're taking advantage of like the latest I guess improvements. So all right, so Anything else, Justin? Like, tokenomics and DACs. I'm just like, I'm excited about kind of, but I haven't really. I was hoping you guys might have come across any kind of news in this area.
It's always a hard one because there's apps and games like coming out every single day, and they all have some element of tokenomics in them. So sometimes the lines get blurred. We should maybe take a look at the DAP radar and check out.
Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah. Just feel free to share your screen on DAP radar too, and just see. I just looked at that today. It's kind of it's kind of a coincidence that you mentioned that. It was just probably an hour ago.
Is it showing now? I've noticed a lot of the Tron apps have popped up in the last kind of few weeks.
we've been chilling Tron and Ethereum like just the last couple of weeks. We gotta stick with EOS here, but yeah. So I saw EOS Knights was #1 out of EOS, but now it says PRA Candy Box.
I've actually never played that. I think it's just like for claiming airdrops or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure though. Yeah, I'd love to hear if anyone has any thoughts on it.
EOS Knights is I didn't realize EOS Knights was always there, but it seems to have picked up a little bit, no?
Yeah. I've been playing a bit of this Hold'em PokerKing. It's pretty cool, guys. It has some pretty cool tokenomics that I'm kind of interested in.
Let's talk about their tokenomics then. Let's try to figure that out. So,
oh, it hasn't opened up. Okay. It's weird they don't have a link to it. Anyway, I will just go straight to the website.
They have a white paper, right?
Oh no, it was right there. Is a website. They do have a very simple white paper. I'll quickly show you the game itself, and then we'll look at the white paper. Okay. So I've been playing a bit of this. I'm very low better. Maybe I shouldn't have even been showing this. Like, is it illegal to be betting in this country? Oh well.
This is purely for education purposes.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it came up. Okay, oh wow.
So it seems like it's yeah. Okay, I see the screen. So they have a chat feature now.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I've never actually come in and there's been no plays. That's kind of a first. Maybe it's because I went for the cheap table. Let me cash out and try and go in again with a higher stake table. So interestingly, the tokenomics of this game is that as you play, they actually give you king tokens. And those king tokens actually give you a dividend in the, what's it called, the rake. So the casino taking from each pot, they start to give you a percentage.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I've played this, and I was trying to figure out like how much of it they give, and they give it to you regardless of if you win or lose, right?
Yeah, they do. It's how much you're betting, not sort of whether you win or lose.
Okay.
So if you're putting in big bets, whether you're winning or losing, you can make a lot of king. So I'm obviously not going to call this because I've got, oh, maybe I should have. I had a 9.
All right. So yeah, play a couple hands and then let's see when you cash out, like what percentage.
Yeah.
Like let's maybe try to calculate. Just so there's. You didn't put anything in this time, right? So.
Only 0.2 of an EOS.
Oh, you did put 0.2?
Yeah. Because I was the first hand or the second hand. I don't know.
Okay. Perry says, "Bet it all, Justin. We got you covered." If you win, we got you covered.
Oh, yeah. Cheers. Damn, getting terrible hands there.
Play a bad hand. No, I'm kidding. So let's do a couple hands and see what There's been a pot of 1.05, about 1.85 EOS. This pot is actually this pot is around 3.
Oh damn! Someone bet 2 or 1.95 extra. Yeah.
So let's
cash out and see.
Let's cash out. See what happens. So you got 24 King tokens.
So they said EOS and King have been sent to your account. So I think I go to bonus. The UI isn't amazing, but the actual gameplay is really quite good. So it looks like I earned 30 King for that. So that's interesting. Perhaps I ended up betting 0.3 in the end. So I guess it's a factor of 100 times 100 times your bet. And so I can stake this 30 King, and that'll increase my reward or my dividend from the rakes that are being played each day.
So you can actually stake this as well.
Yeah, you have to stake it in order to get a dividend in the casino. So I guess this encourages more people to be holding their tokens and less sell pressure on the market, which is a cool way to go.
Okay, so I like this. So they gave you, based on your bet amount, they give you a kind of a certain reward of kind of what their profits are, right?
Yeah.
But but these King tokens, actually you have to stake it. Like, so they'll give it to you. They'll just encourage you to bet. They'll give you a fraction of probably their revenue. They'll put towards these King tokens that you get. So you definitely have to, like, as a business, you have to distribute more King tokens. You have to make more than the value of the King tokens you distribute, right?
Perhaps. I'm not sure. There might be a sort of at the start of, because it's still a relatively new game that only been out like maybe a month or so, or probably less. It could be just like quite generous with the King rewards now to get, a great number of players onboarded, and then perhaps they stop giving out the King tokens for playing. I'm not sure, or maybe it's reduced quite significantly, and they could have an inflation that the King is paid out in.
So one way to estimate that is that you received 30 King tokens, right, for about I think
it was 0.3 of betting.
What was that? Yeah,
I think I bet out 0.3.
So 0.3 got you 30. So you're essentially 100, times your in tokens, King tokens. So what is 100 King tokens worth right now in the market? Can you check?
Yeah, sure. New DACs.
And as long as your bet amount is
I'm sure
far lower, because
because
you could have won too, right? So it's based on a fraction. Like, I think a poker game should get, like, I would assume, like, any house edge would be like 5%, right? So you're betting like 0.3 EOS. They're only expecting 5% of that.
So it's 0.0000849 for each king token. So obviously I've spent a lot more than I gained, I would say, right?
So okay, 0.000849, and then you got 30 though, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I could factor that in.
Are you sure you got 30?
Yeah, it said 30. Oh, won't let me copy that. That's annoying.
Oh, there's four zeros. Sorry.
Yeah, 4 zeros.
So that's about 0.00255 EOS. Sorry about the math, guys, but and they probably off your 0.3
So this is how much
EOS, they probably earned 0.015. So it's like
that's a good
5%.
point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't factor that in. So it's actually, I mean, considering how much they earn, it's not too bad. I guess, yeah, I'm losing the majority of the money to other players, not to the casino itself.
yeah,
So
it's
not too bad.
Yeah, you know, they're pretty. They give you, I think, roughly about 20% of their revenue, kind of through King tokens, and they make it seem like that you have a lot of tokens because they give they issue probably a lot of King tokens, so it seems like a lot. So like 30 tokens for betting 0.3 EOS to get 30 King tokens. It sounds like a lot, but what they're doing is they're probably taking about 20% of their revenue. And then distributing it to the King tokens, and so that's what gives the King tokens its value. It's kind of a free market value of how much they're earning off of people in general. So it might make sense. I mean, that's a way to do it. Just whatever revenue you get, like give like a 20-30% like revenue share to a group of people that are helping your ecosystem. So so that's my guess. They're probably around 20% of it. So that's not bad. If you're
and if you're winning most of the time, or you keep playing hands and you end up about even at the end of it, and then you get all these King tokens, it actually works out not too bad. I mean, not everyone is gonna play 3 hands and then lose, a bunch of money. I mean, not that was a significant amount of money, but say I was betting, 3 EOS instead of 0.3 EOS. I mean, it's just like it's an added benefit that gets you more hooked to gambling.
So how hard was it for you to understand though? Like, so when you played, you kind of understood this staking mechanism. I played. I just never used King tokens. I didn't really research too much. I was just playing. But I like this creates a different dynamic. Like how did you how did it incentivize you? Like just in general, like.
I don't know. It's just a nice addition. Really, like the best way to get the tokens is to buy them off the exchange. I think it's probably, it's just an added bonus, I think. And, the fact is if you're looking into the future, like the amount of gameplay happening on the casino now, is maybe 1% of what it could be, in another year. Maybe, it's still very early days. Getting a dividend in, it could blow up. It could be getting 100x what you're getting today. So, for instance, like today, I'm getting an estimated payout of 0.155 or 156, sorry, EOS a day. I mean, maybe in 60 days, there's 100-fold increase in gambling, and I'm getting paid, 1.5 EOS a day.
Yeah, this is good because if they get traction, it's going to reflect it in the tokens, right? And right now they're getting, they're distributing it like it's almost like they're giving a 20% dividend kind of thing for users that have these tokens, and if they're distributing it now, the a little bit of a concern of mine is like, this is how we're calculating. They still control the tokens, right? In the end.
Yeah, it's true. I'm not sure how much of it is automated.
So you gotta be careful, like, because in the end, like, the smart contract developer owns all the tokens. So if it gets really hot, right, and all of a sudden everyone's trying to buy these, and they're selling all the tokens that they have available, and they have, right, then it's like they get all the EOS, and then they're like, okay, see you guys. So there's always a concern. It is a good product. I mean, I have played. They have done a good job, but it's always like, that's why a DAC can help this, where it's like you see a multi-sig, you see the custodians, you see public custodians, or at least something, where it's not like one or two key guys that control the key and the tokens, the entire supply of tokens. Now, what was the issue that happened with the other poker game, where I think it was Poker DAC or something like that, or what was it? So there was a poker game that was usable, functional, but the guy, the guy just essentially exited. He just, like, they're not saying it was a scam or anything, but it was essentially he probably just quit the project, or that's what I'm thinking, right? And so that was like, people were disappointed. They're like, hey, like, we liked the game, we played the game, and this guy, it just shut down all of a sudden, right? So then this guy came up and said, let's create Poker DAC. And I got an email from actually someone, and won't name names, but I just got an email saying, hey, what do you think of this? Like, they're trying to create a DAC for this this poker game, where people were disappointed that it got shut down because they actually liked playing it, right? So anyway, so I think the DACs are I think have this extremally valuable function as like this trusted organizational trusted organization on the blockchain. It's like, we're all still depending on people, like, with all of these dApps right now. And the closer we get to these multi-sigs and DAC structures, the more we're more secure and trusted. And so I think this is a natural trend. It has to be that way. Otherwise, just economics say, people are going to just run away, after building something up. It's just, it becomes, unfortunately, they like, they become incentivized when they control so much. It's great to limit that early on and create like DAC structures, like from the get-go. So
that's a good point. At the same time, like, if you don't run a business with if you don't do what you say you're going to do, people won't trust you again. You won't be able to raise more money. You won't be able to do another project. So to some extent, like, I do expect that, the majority of people will do what they say they're going to do. It would be nice if I do get what you're saying, but
I think that's a little naive. No, in how's it going, Eddie? So, okay, I remember in Bitcoin, like, early days, right? Like, you could list like hundreds of scams, right? And the big one is exactly like, where it's not a quick scam. It's like BitConnect, right?
Yeah.
It's a pyramid scheme is the best one, because you get people
saying this could be that. It could be. Like, they're giving you the dividends, the token price raises, they dump on the market. Totally.
Exactly. It's like, I think there was this big Ponzi scheme in Bitcoin, one of the biggest, where it's like, because what you do is you build trust by giving people money back, right? Like they see it, they see the dividend, they get happy, they're like, oh wow, I'm getting these dividends. But as you grow, you get more people to pay for the dividend, and then they get happy, and then you get like a whole like you yeah, it's a honeypot, but it grows so rapidly, right? And then all of a sudden, it's a pyramid, because it's gonna, once you have so many people and then there's not enough to pay out everybody, the first ones in already got their money, and then they just kind of, that's it. It just collapses. But there's like, if you look at the history of Bitcoin, there were like many of these. Like I think there's some pirate hedge fund or something like that in the early days of Bitcoin, and he made so many Bitcoin, it was ridiculous. And it was just the idea that people trusted that, right? Trusted this guy that says, I'm going to give you like a 20% per like week dividend or something, right? And everyone was like getting little bits and pieces of that, like as he kind of grew this kind of project by like paying, what is it? Stealing from Peter to pay Paul, right? And it was like, anyways, pirate hedge fund, yeah. Yeah, and it was the funny thing was that it was the brand was like a pirate hedge fund, right? And it was like it's just people were still putting money in it, right? It's like he was almost signaling that there's that he's a pirate. And anyways, I thought that was funny. So I'll have to look at the details, and I'll put it on the video if I find that. And then just looking at the history of Bitcoin. So, and EOS, unfortunately, EOS, there's this perception that there's more protection in EOS, but we don't have those protections right now. So we have to be careful, right? It's not like we can, we just have to treat it as if it's, just everything with skepticism, because we don't have the protections in place so far. So anyways. Okay, so in all governance models, what are the bare minimum what's the bare minimum every model has? Governance models, bare minimums. I wish there was a standard. I'm not sure there's like, I guess we could talk about like real governance. It's like, I think for real governance, I think maybe, in the meat space, they at least the perception is that they try to protect you from like violent crimes, right? I guess. And so theft and things like that. I don't know if I'm not answering the question the way, but just basic, like basic things like that like, that Ponzi schemes and things that are like just, outright, where there's not a intention to deliver a kind of a service to someone. The intention is not in good faith. Maybe that's a good term. It's like those kinds of things, I think, are naturally what governance has to kind of minimize, or technology. I mean, I would say, a lot of governance can be solved technologically right now. So, and Eddie says, yeah, basically multisig in one form or another. Yeah. So multisig is really a key foundation to a lot of this. Like, it'll build a lot more trust. That's kind of the very basic first step. So Eddie's answer is good for governance models. Multisig is I think the foundation, the bare minimum, like a multisig. And however that multisig is, if it's 2 of 3 or anything larger than that, is probably even much better.
This is an opinion, I guess, because like the bare minimum is whatever someone wants to do, and that could be
yeah.
no multi-sig, like
yeah,
be a centralized contract that someone is able to change, and it's one individual holding that key.
So is it the problem with the people that participate? Maybe is like is the reality, if you're gonna invest in something, but see, I think there is like, so it's the idea. Yeah, people should be responsible, and I agree that that's maybe the starting point. But you almost, if the intention is like and there's a misperception about like systems, like that's, in a society, you want to minimize kind of anything that has kind of these bad intentions, right? So I think there's certain limits, certain things that you can actually get people to look for, like multisig, that they'll likely understand and will protect them. So I mean, yeah, there is responsibility too. I guess in a free market, you could allow people to make their mistakes. So maybe it's maybe starting from that standpoint is okay, and I'm fully for that. But then there's just certain things that I think people, maybe as a culture, we should just get people accustomed to looking for multisigs, and just leave it at that. Not regulate it, not enforce it, not penalize people, but just help people, at least as a culture, look for multisigs whenever they participate in a project. So, anyways, so. All right, cool. Actually, sorry. Sometimes I talk too much. So we're about an hour in. So yeah, maybe this is it. Like, hey, I think a lot of good things. I think it was cool to look at PokerKings. I do like kind of some of the tokenomics that we've learned about with PokerKings. I do think we should look for multisigs for them and other projects as a standard practice, and help others always look for people's contracts and make sure there's under a multisig, and DACs help that. That's hopefully one kind of lesson here is that DACs help this whole process to create trusted organization, trusted businesses, at least a lot more trusted than we have now. So maybe we can. Yeah. Any last comments?
I guess one thing you have to look at is, like, what is the incentive for them to run off with all the EOS that they're taking in and not kind of go through with paying out the dividends? I mean, I haven't looked at like the token ownership model, but I'm pretty sure from memory they own 10 or 20 or 30%. If they went and ran off with the current EOS pool, like, would that be worth it compared to selling their tokens on the market? Because it would crash, the value of the King token, right?
Yeah,
so I don't know.
So yeah, that's a good question. So they're probably, it's a balance of economic incentives probably at the end of the day. If they are making more money or have more potential to make money by running an honest business, they would. But let's say, for example, it starts getting a little competitive, right? And then they start to see, okay, hey, there's these competitors. Like, okay, let's start selling a lot of tokens, just like en masse, like, and just take in EOS, right? And then the incentives become, all right, like, you get more for exiting than you get from operating because of the competitive pressures, right? And then you don't have the hassle of trying to run a business where you're always like, oh, I have to compete with this or that, and maybe you have to deal with the whims of the market up and down, right? And all of that, put together, it's like when the economic incentives start to favor the other side, then that's when people start, unfortunately, misbehaving. So that's more like the game theory, I would say, of that. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, so the way it works is they pay a dividend 3% a day. So 3% of the total prize pool, and the prize pool is currently at 85,076 EOS, basically. So what's that? Like, that's or what would that be? Like $240,000, roughly, something like that. I don't know. You're probably better at maths. And I think the total market cap for King, would be significantly more than that, right?
yeah, that's actually interesting. So you're saying 3% of the. So where is that 85,000 EOS? Is that staked somewhere?
It's in an account somewhere, I'm assuming.
Is that their kind of their is that their smart contract funds treasury?
That's the total rake that has been taken in. So for some reason, they only pay 3% a day of that. But like in total, I'm owed of this 85,000, I will be getting 5.18 eventually, but this number will keep going up. But 5 of these EOS are mine, basically. I just need to wait, basically, what would it be, 33 days to get my 5 EOS.
Okay, so I think they're paying out 3% of the total. So that 85,000 that's pretty significant. That means that they got 85,000 people, or 85,000 EOS bet, that were, you know, bet that day, right? Or in the past 24 hours.
More than that, because it's only the rake. So it's only the 5% that they take from each hand. I think it's 5%. That's the number that you sort of came up with.
Okay.
But so, and this is not specifically for one day. This is over, you know, several days, because you got to remember every day only 3% is going out to people's actual accounts. So yeah, I can claim, oh, there's none in there, but in 2 hours time, I'll be able to claim, like, what will it be? 0.1556. That'll be here for me to claim.
Okay. So
yeah, this is collected over the last kind of 30, 40 days, minus what has already been taken out by people or that is ready for people to claim.
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting model. Like, we could look into that. So that's the rake. That's probably like the 5% house profits that they've accrued over, like you're saying, the last 30, 40 days. So they've accrued 85,000 EOS, pretty significant, like, in a month.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially, and so they give 3% of that out a day, but is that just, so they're just giving 3% per day?
Mm-hmm.
That's 2,500, and so it's 33% for. So if it's, you know, 100% of that, it takes about a month, right, to distribute all of that. That's kind of interesting how they have that model. I'm not sure why they kind of almost kind of, instead of just immediately giving people like the amount for that day, they kind of stretch it out over 30 days, right?
Yeah, potentially it's something to do with how the market would price the token. If you could get the whole day, maybe people would buy, because I think it pays out about 4 p.m. Pacific time, something like that, every single day. Maybe around that time, people would buy up the King tokens, stake them, get their 3%. I don't know, they'd still have to unstake. I don't know how fast that is, but it might cause some volatility. The fact that they can just buy it at the right time, stake it, take the profits and run.
Yeah. I know it's kind of interesting. So you know, this probably take a little bit of little researching, but it is good. You know, we're getting closer to understanding, like, kind of how the mechanism works after you showed us kind of the yeah, you showed us. Okay, they
it's only 1.5% rake, which is quite low.
Okay. And there's a maximum rebate of 80%. Okay. They're pretty, it seems pretty generous.
So if you bet a certain amount, you enter into a new club where you get a rebate on the rakes that are taken.
Yeah, I think the rebate is the tokens, right? The King tokens, is it?
I thought it was in EOS, but yeah, maybe it's paid out in King tokens.
Okay. All right. So is that like, how many pages is that? We'll maybe
it's actually only 3 pages.
Okay.
So if you have wagered 100, then you actually get 3% of the rake. If you've wagered 50 million, you get 70% of the rake. I don't know how you get 80%.
Wow. They have like this a top heavy incentive system, and that's actually pretty smart, I think.
Yeah.
You got like the more you wager, the more you significantly more you get in terms of the percentage of the rake.
But this is only on the hands that you're playing, only on kind of the rakes that are involved in your own gameplay. You're not taking it off every table's rakes. It's only tables that you're playing on at any given time. You're getting a bit of a kickback from that.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Because it seems like this VIP,
otherwise people would just.
it's,
I think so. I don't know if the maths would work out.
because it says accumulated wager to EOS, right? So that's, I mean, you can't, that's going to take time to get to 50 million EOS bet, right? So I assume that every time, like, we're like, if you play, you're accruing, you're going from VIP level 1 to 2 to 3, and it's going to take you like a year to get to VIP level 12. By that time, you're getting like 70% of the rake at that point.
That's true. I mean, yeah, it has to be on the tables you're on, because otherwise 70% of the rake would be 70% of every rake on every table would be.
That's true. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's kind of a rebate to yourself, so that you
Exactly.
you could pay.
You're paying almost feeless betting, basically.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
It's amazing though. It's added up to so much of a rake when they're only taking 1.5%, and like we saw, like there was over 80,000 that was in their kind of coffers as a treasury, I guess. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, you do the math, and that means like, at least almost 100 times that is what actually got bet, which is a huge amount of EOS, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Over 1.8, around 1.8 million EOS has been bet, or maybe even more than that, because you had to take away the amount that was claimable as well, and it's already been claimed in the last 30, 40 days since this token was actually launched and since the platform was ready. This is also interesting. Invite a friend to play the game and get 10% bonus. So if you're a big social marketer and you get like thousands of users on this, you're getting 10% off their rakes for, it doesn't have a set time limit, so maybe forever. It could be like a profitable way to make money. I mean, this is what I'm talking about when I sometimes refer to like decentralizing the workforce in a gambling app. Like, this is it. Like, you can decentralize your marketing department and get the users to spread the word for you.
Yeah, I like that too. You base it on, a yeah, I don't know. It's great. I think to make it viral, you want like referral revenue. Now, there's always kind of the psychological part, which I don't think is a big deal, but it's always, something to think about. Is like, okay, if you're getting a little bit of profit, are your friends going to say, oh, hey, you're making a profit off of me or something like that, or feel that just maybe not be as excited about that. But I don't know. I think it's a good system. I'm just saying, like, you kind of have that with a little bit of the multi-level marketing type systems where it's like, hey, I think it's okay because, but if you're getting money for whatever they do, rather than like a fixed fee or something, like where it's like a referral fee, it might get a little bit uncomfortable. But
yeah,
I don't think it's all that bad, but it's just something to think about. Yeah,
that's a good point. I mean, often like multi-level marketing isn't the worst thing in the world. Where it becomes an issue is when the product isn't a product. Like in this case, the product is gambling and being able to bet, being able to play poker, but in a bad pyramid scheme or in a pyramid, the main thing that's trying to be pushed on people. It's actually the sign-up fee, which can be like $1,500 or like several $1,000s to become a member. That is when it becomes a true pyramid scheme and is like a terrible thing. In this case, it's not too much different to, you know, an Uber or Lyft referral program where you get credits for getting people on board. At the end of the day, you know, people will only utilize this service if they like the product itself, which is poker.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. I think, and that's why that's a good this is a good point. I think it makes it less so, like you say, where, you know, people are paying upfront and it's more like a pyramid scheme and people are getting paid through kind of those upfront costs. But rather than that, you know, people like the game, so they're just playing. So you're just getting you know, just a small commission off of that. So that might be good. And I know Jaron says there's no end date on referrals. That's a little bit sketchy. When you apply,
yeah, I haven't seen any proof that the referrals are being paid out. Like we should do a test where I refer you or someone else, and you know, they bet a bunch of money and make me some money, and then we'll see if, you know, it's been calculated correctly.
Yeah. So this is a good example. I think they did a pretty good job overall, like thinking through a lot of things. The referral bonuses, I think if you create a business, any kind of business, I do like that idea. You know, if it's, you know, there's some psychological things you have to kind of work through, but overall, if they're using it, then, and they're just sharing, you're just sharing the profits of the company to those referrers. I think, you know, rather than the company having a friend have it, it's like, that should be fine.
Definitely.
How are the
referrals? Interesting. The team gets 20%, but they actually only get it as the king tokens are mined. So they're getting 1/5 of every mined king. So they're actually gradually getting their 20% of the total market cap over, you know, however long it takes to get those tokens out there.
Yeah.
Oh, and the mining ratio. So 1 to 200 was for the first 5%. 1 to 100. So we must be in this 5 to 10% range, because we noticed I was getting like 100 times what I was actually betting. So this is going to gradually go down and down and down.
So 1 out of 100. How do we get that?
So 1 EOS bet gives you 100 king tokens.
Oh, gotcha. Uh-oh, the FOMO is going to be real.
Yeah.
No, but the design, okay, I like these designs where, like, you know, it's just like, you know, Bitcoin's asymptotic kind of thing where a lot of, you know, there's a halving, right? And so there's more limited supply of it as you go forward into, as years go by. So that's pretty cool. I'd like to see the chart of that, of, you know, how, you know, it becomes asymptotic, I guess, with a curve.
Definitely.
One
thing to consider if you're buying these on an exchange is that, you know, we're only in this category where only 5 to 10%. There's 90% dilution to come. Or is that how you calculate dilution? I don't know, but there's basically 90% of the market cap that's going to be available of King is still going to happen. So yeah, that's a lot of dilution.
Yeah, decay, I guess.
But in that time, you know, as we get through these circulations, then there'll be a larger user group, so maybe it balances out.
The poker platform will share 50% of the profits with King holders.
That's interesting. So not only are the team getting 20%, they're actually getting 50% of the profits to begin with. Interesting. But they use 10% of those profits for buying back King tokens. Okay,
They're
that's
doing the
gonna-
Binance. So this is a good example. So Binance does this too, where the transaction fees revenue is used to burn tokens, and they do, I think, 20% of their kind of revenue is towards burning Binance tokens. And again, you restrict the supply and you expect the prices to go up. So they're doing the same thing. 10% of the profits are to buy for buybacks. 40% of the profits will be used for operating expenses. Be used to build the best team and the highest quality events to make PokerKing have long-term competitiveness. Okay.
So they got some more games coming up.
Yeah, so that's more game stuff. So
yeah, interesting, right?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I think I think they did a good job actually. Like I will look into it a little bit more in terms of just the different, so they have the buyback, they have like a, kind of 50% of profits. There's a, kind of a decay for the supply of their distribution of tokens.
It's very complicated, right?
They have a referral system.
All these factors.
Yeah, I do, but I think they all like, some complexity is not helpful if it's like extraneous or something, right?
Yeah.
But you have a referral system, you have like a mining distribution system. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. I think now how do you see it? Because we had to go through a white paper, we had to go read it. Most people are not going to do this, right? So how effective is it if because of that, if it is too complex to understand, right? So
it is and it isn't, like, because you can always go to your little portal and it would tell you how much you're getting, and you can basically work out, what dividend rate is that coming out at, is it worth my time? But then I guess, those people who are factoring it in that way, they're not factoring in how much dilution is coming, and that's a big factor, right?
Yeah, and then Hedy has a good point. It's hard to tell the difference between shady structures and legit ones. No easy way around the research for now. Someday standardization will help, but new experimentations will always be new. So yeah, always kind of, be, just if you're going to participate in any of these, just be careful, be skeptical. But it's but kind of balance that in with kind of what your I guess the positives of a project. So so I think I think it was a good one. It had a lot of tokenomics in it. It had actually a lot of
good tokenomics.
Yeah,
like
good
I mean, as long as you trust them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you said before, like, I mean, who's to know whether they can just, change the contract and run off with the money, or, you have to trust the platform, the people involved, and, who even knows who is running this? I don't know. Like, they don't have the names of the people on the site or anything. But, in terms of tokenomics, like, as long as you trust them, the tokenomics are actually well thought out. Like, they are grounded in true realities, I think. A dividend model is something that we know that works. We know that you can get network effects by providing bonuses and that sort of thing. So I think it's very much grounded in real world principles. It just utilizes a liquid EOS token to do, what works in the real world in a more liquid and fast-paced fashion, I think. So I think it's actually a rather good model.
Yeah, no. Yeah, thanks for kind of sharing your knowledge about PokerKings. I have played it, and the game is cool, but I didn't know the details of the tokenomics. And the more I look at it, I think they were thinking about the right they were thinking the right way with the design. Now again, like be skeptical, like like we don't know like who's running this. Make sure there's a multi-sig. Make sure like, you know, if this would, like, again, the DAC model, if now the King tokens had a DAC that could vote on certain things, it had kind of some method to control maybe the treasury, things like that, then, you know, over time, as people accumulated King tokens, they can control it, right? They can control the whole organization. And so I feel like maybe their next step, if, you know, is to create a system like that, because right now it seems as though there's probably just a few people that have the control of the keys. So I do think having a DAC and the same kinds of models that they're talked about would be actually a very yeah, that would be a great project, I think. So so hopefully they
I mean, one big thing here.
Was that?
I was just going to say one other big thing is, like, is it actually a legal structure that they're utilizing? Like, it seems to work, and, you know, as long as you trust them, but also, is it legal? I don't know. Like, it seems like a security token to me. It probably isn't legal. It freaking works really well, but, you know,
yeah. So
are we actually allowed to buy these tokens? I don't know.
Yeah, there's legal issues, not only with gambling, I guess, but also just the security type aspects of it. Now, I do think there's potential there as well. Like, if you're going to do tokens, you know, I always kind of promote this partnership ICO model, but I'll link that. And I think there's ways to do legal ICOs, but again, that's based on non-legal advice or non-legal opinions. But I do think there is potential there, and I try to promote the idea that you can do ICOs that are legal, where you can make profit, but we're all partners and active partners, and not like shareholders of and dependent on other people to do work for us to make this a successful business. So anyways, I'll talk more about that next time. But no, that's great. Thanks for sharing, Justin. It was a great example. I think this is a fantastic model, despite, like, you know, whatever, like, you know, hey, it's kind of in the gambling area. It's maybe there's some legal issues about the securities or the tokens, but overall,
they did avoid an ICO, right?
There
was no ICO done.
Yeah, there was no ICO. It was kind of a mining distribution. Very interesting, very interesting. And I do hope that they convert into a DAC. That's like multi-sig first, and then like a DAC later on. Because, you know, when the token holders have a joint interest in it, and they are already giving 50% dividends, might as well have the control of to someone. It's kind of interesting. So that poker DAC, someone sent me that, and it was like, okay, yeah, the DAC model makes sense for this case, or just any DApps in general. So sorry about that. You're kind of going in and out, like, so.
Yeah, I think I'm running out of battery, so if I drop out, it's because of that.
Okay. Sounds good, guys. Real quick, maybe let's wrap up. I know. So Mel, you have a kind of a off subject question here. Okay, so Block One wallet. So okay, number one, is it the Block One wallet? Have you heard anything lately, Justin, about that? And
no, I think it's pretty tight-lipped. I have no idea what's happening on that front.
Okay, and then Hedy Eddie says standardization, tried and true verifiable mechanisms comes with standardization and tried and true verifiable mechanisms comes a more restrictive ecosystem in regards to what the market wants. It is a lie. The DAO ICO developers think it will be used to reduce their pay to peanuts. It is a lie. Okay. She says sorry. All right. So,
I think he's like referring to the race to the bottom that you get from like gig economies and kind of the decentralization of even the central corporation that could lead to a race to the bottom. I think that's where he's going. And that is a I guess, a valid concern that we all have, I suppose.
Well, I'm not sure if it's a race to the bottom. Well, that's a kind of interesting. Maybe we should discuss that. Like, okay, so is it like, so you decentralize, people who are, the way these are designed, the early adopters are essentially rewarded, but then it comes to a point where now everybody's using it, everyone's getting rewarded, but everyone's kind of participants, and overall the costs just is much lower for everyone to participate in this ecosystem. So I think eventually it's okay. I mean, people are getting more value, and as long as you could provide more value to another ecosystem, or with another ecosystem, or as long as it's it's better to use the existing ecosystem that's been built compared to a new ecosystem, that then I think that's fine. You're still providing value. You have to provide more value for someone to switch over to a new system. Also, network effects. When I think about network effects, we have to look at okay, well, people always kind of just talk about how there's always monopolies when you get this large network effect, and I think you have to think about it as a business, like where the network effects are, and also understand that network effects you could take advantage of as a business, but then it's not the switching costs become even smaller when with this technology. So even if you have a network effect in the beginning, it doesn't mean that you're gonna it's harder to maintain like kind of a monopoly over a network effect. And then look at the business itself. So PokerKings, when you think about that, where is the network effect? Well, the more people that are playing the game, the more you don't have to wait to play. So you don't want to see a lot of empty seats when you go play. As long as there's enough people, that will make the game better. But once you saturate that, maybe it's not, maybe beyond that, there's not much of a network effect, because as long as, you have someone to play with, and, you just kind of keep building more tables as you get more people, it's the network effect is not that significant at that point. So, anyways, so network effects, again, there's things to think about there. Some have like real network effects. Money is one big network effect. If everyone uses Bitcoin, or let's say EOS for like payments, then naturally the more people who recognize it, that's going to really add value to that. But then the flip side is, if you have a lot of interchangeability between the coins, then maybe the network effect is not as important, right? So, and they're going to all battle each other for like different, I guess, sub ecosystems that all interoperate. So, anyways, I don't want to get off on a tangent here. So, Justin, are you still here? Okay. So, and then Eddie, okay. Okay, so standardization brings network effect, and people fear having to build within that rule set effect than people. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so the standardization and the structures, kind of limit the ability for people to go outside and build something new if they have to get stuck in a certain rule set. Same thing, like you got like more, if you have like this monopoly control, whether it's through standards or structure, people don't want to be, sometimes they don't want to participate because they don't want to be in that, tied down to that rule set or structure, or even company, right? Like if you're, if you like same thing, like people might not want to even be on EOS because they're like, okay, hey, if the EOS dominates, then I'm kind of limited to just everything that EOS has. Or same thing with Bitcoin. I can only use within their ecosystem, I want to do my own thing, right? So there's always this balance, and the more flatter it gets, where EOS, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everybody can kind of interoperate, then there'll be more even competition, and people have the ability to kind of go back and forth to different ecosystems. So I think that'll be a trend that we see. So I think yeah. Anyways, I hope people understand what I'm saying. So, but thanks Eddie, thanks Mel, thanks Jaron, thanks Justin.
Cheers guys. Cheers Jun.
And we'll go back. This was an interesting conversation for sure. I'll start checking a lot more into PokerKings, and we'll see you guys next week. So all right, cheers, have a good one.